less boring, right? And yeah, so we're ready to go. So topic for today, very straightforward, 7 income streams that can make any millennial financially free. And I've got a lot of feedback from people who said, hey, Julian, we would love to have this topic. People who said this would be such a great topic for you to cover. And so I said, okay, I love this topic actually. And if you have read my book, then you know that all the 24 stories lead to this 25th story. And the 25th story is basically the story about the 7 income streams. So I'm really excited about this topic. So let's get into this really quick. Please help us share the webinar. You can do this right now. You can stay on the page and you can share, you can like the page. It would be great if you help us with social. Then we have a chat box. It would be awesome to log in and let us know where you're coming in from so we have an idea. Of course, if you want to stay anonymous or you just want to watch, that's also great. So no stress there. That's important. Now, why are you here? Now, there might be different reasons for that. I take that you're here because you want to earn money. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here for 7 income streams that could make you financially free. Now, maybe you want to replace your full-time income. Maybe you just want to have an extra side income. Or was it that you really want to be financially free? And with financially free, I mean, do you really want to be that you don't never have to work anymore? Now, whatever those 3 reasons are, let's get going and let's see what we can do about this. Now, there's a lot of challenges out there because actually many people would love to be financially free. Many people would love to make some money on the side. But the biggest challenge is this: school system education is not very good in teaching people how to actually make money or keep money. So this is very important. A lot of infos on the web are not very trustworthy. They are pretty scammy many times. And so for that, many people are kind of lost. And maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you feel, wow, okay, I would love to do something. I would love to invest in stocks. I would love to buy real estate, but I'm a bit scared to do so. And so that's why we basically have this, so that you can just follow these steps. You might be thinking, hey, that sounds great, but who are you to say, Julian, how this works? Why are you the person to give me those tips? Why should I trust you? Well, fair enough. So I want to tell you really quick who I am and why I think that I'm actually a perfect expert to talk about that. Well, I studied medicine, so I had a very traditional education. I was a professional kite surfer. I traveled the world. I made very good money as a professional athlete. But I never worked as a medical doctor because I wanted to get into the business world. So when I was 24 years old, I quit being a medical doctor after I had worked just slightly. And I had to familiarize myself with all these things that I did not learn in school. And so that was a really big change. And this was a really big step for me and a very big leap forward. And in the book also, I describe a lot of these experiences that I had, where I lost a lot of money investing into the wrong things. I share a lot about how I had a lot of mishaps. And then I share step by step how over 10, 15, 20 years, I really learned step by step how to earn money, how to invest money. And well, today I can call myself financially free, and it's one of the best feelings in the world. And so I would love to pass on these 7 steps, how I did it and how you can also do it. So let's get going. What are those 7 steps? First of all, of course, this is really important. I'm not a licensed advisor. Any investment with money, anything that involves money, involves risk. And hey, please never follow advice blindly, not even myself, so not even my own. Do your due diligence, take educated decisions. This is so important. There's so many people just following, not paying any attention. And so I think this is really, really important. Awesome. So Andy, welcome to have you on the webinar. Anyone else, please log into the little chat box. Drop me a quick message if you're coming in from here. So we're going to keep going. 7 income streams, and we're going to cover all 7. We're going to go for around 50 minutes. So we're going to talk about all of them. If you have any questions, please just drop me a quick message into the chat box. And of course, I'm going to answer that. So first income stream, of course, non-scalable income. What's non-scalable income? That's your work. So if you have a job, or you are your own boss because you have a small business, that's your first income stream. Now, we're going to talk about all those. Second income stream, interest. If you put money onto the bank, then that makes money. Third income stream, dividends. Fourth income stream, real estate. Fifth income stream, buy and sell. Very powerful. I love buy and sell. Sixth income stream, royalties, licenses, books, anything that has to do where you create something and they get a license from that. And the seventh is the most powerful income stream. I would pretty much say that literally all billionaires that are today, so real billionaires with a B, they made their billions through businesses that own equity. And I'll talk about why I think that. Maybe you can share some examples where there's billionaires out there who did not make their billion through a business. I just think pretty much all of them made it through a business. So let's get going. First, for those of you that don't know the difference between scalable and unscalable income. Now, some people call it passive income and non-passive income. I don't like that terminology so much, simply because have a passive income, that means you don't do anything. And even if you have real estate income, or even if you run a business and you are on the so-called right side of the cash flow quadrant, this means that your income is scalable because it's independent of time, but it doesn't mean that it's passive, because for most of the time, if you own a lot of real estate, it still means you have a lot of work to do. And if you own businesses, I mean, sometimes you're working harder than anyone else. It just means that you can scale your income unlimited, because on the right side of the quadrant, so the big businesses and the investors versus the employees and the self-employed on the left, they can scale the income because they're independent of time. So I prefer to use those terms, scalable and non-scalable income. So let's talk about income number one. And this is the income that I think most of us have most, especially at the very beginning when we grow up. And this is also what school teaches us. Now, how this works is that you trade money for time. Very traditional. You either go to work or you work for yourself. You're either employed or self-employed, ERS, and you basically trade time for dollars. This means if you have a good education, many times this also means that you can earn more money for the hours that you work. Now, I want to give you some examples. For example, when I finished med school, I was a medical doctor. I made around 50 euros an hour before tax, right? So this was my pay. Now, of course, if you are a secretary, you might earn a bit less. If you are a more senior doctor, for the same amount of hours, you would have earned more for the same amount of time. Sure, I think you kind of understand that. Please, disclaimer, just because you have a college education doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to make more money than someone who does not. This is also really important. Now, there's a lot of upsides to having a non-scalable income, a regular job. What are the upsides? Well, normally, it's pretty predictable. It's pretty foreseeable. You have a daily rhythm. Last week, we talked about this very extensively. And so there's nothing wrong with this. There's just a lot of downside. And the downside is that you can only earn up to 168 hours a week, because the week doesn't have any more hours. So at some point, your maximum charge per hour is going to max out, and you cannot charge more for the hour, and you have only a certain amount of hours. So that's why it's a non-scalable income, because there's a certain limit to that. And the only way to earn more is if suddenly you can move away from the non-scalable income side, and you can move to something where you can scale. And to scale simply means that you either become an investor where money makes money. So the more money you put into work, and this doesn't have to be your money, it can be OPM, other people's money. If that money goes to work, you can scale, you can make more money. Or you're in the business quadrant, where it's all about how much value you can bring to how many people. And so the more value you can bring to people, the more money you're gonna make. And so in the end, it's totally independent of time. And to give you a bit of an idea what this means, for example, is, and these are just very simple ideas. Let's say you're Katy Perry. You bring a lot of value to a lot of people through these songs. Now, whether you like her singing or not is a totally different question. She's very popular and she touches millions of people with her songs. So she makes a lot of money from bringing value to a lot of people. And so she's really good basically in the business quadrant. Now, if you're an investor, let's say you are Warren Buffett, and you put your money to work, well, the more money you put to work, the more potential income you can make. Of course, also, there's always a downside. You can always lose money. So that's, of course, clear. So the first 2 to 5 incomes, so the next 4 incomes, they're going to be out of the I quadrant, investor quadrant, where you have money and this money generates more money. And the last 2 incomes are out of the business quadrant. This is just a bit of a quick note up front. Now, just again, if you are coming on, because I just saw a lot of people come in, log into the chat box on your right. If you have any questions or feedback, or you disagree with something that I'm saying, please just always let me know. Just drop me a message on the right side and say, Julian, totally disagree. I think it should be X, Y, Z. I'm always happy to have constructive criticism. I'm not saying I'm always right. I just talk about my own experience. And of course, take everything with a grain of salt. This is really important, right? You need to do your own diligence on all these things. So before we go into the scalable income side, I want to give a bit of healthy budgeting. Now, this is what I do, and this is what I have learned from some really smart people, and I know that this stuff works. And the first thing I always do is I put away at least 10% of any non-scalable income that comes in, and I reserve that for future investments into scalable incomes. So that means, let's say you're working in a regular job, and let's say, very simple numbers, you make $1,000 a month. That means you would put aside $100 every month, and you put it away so you can use that to either start a business or to invest into something that's going to bring you scalable income in the future. Now, if you're watching this and you're saying, Julian, this is absolutely nuts. I can never put away 10% of my income. Well, I believe that. I thought the same thing, and I did that. If you read the book, in the Monopoly story, I did that. I started doing that when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I was super young when I already tried to put away my income all the time. And so I could do it at that age. I can still do it today. The trick about putting away 10%, you do it on the first day of the month. So you have to put away the money straight away. What's going to happen is you're going to cut down on certain expenses. That means you might not go for a coffee out. You might not buy a certain treat. You might have to be a bit cheaper on something. Now, this is the inevitable part if you really follow that rule. But it's one of the key principles, because otherwise, you're always going to live up to what you have. You're always going to spend as much, and you can never scale your money into these scalable income streams. But that's one of the most important things, actually, to do in life. So this is one of the first key rules, that you should always put away at least 10%, and you use that money to invest into these scalable income streams. Another thing that's really important is you need to pay off consumption debt. What I mean here is credit card debt is not always negative. You might have used it for something that was smart, but chances are 99% credit card debt, consumer debt, all these debts that are used for pleasure and not for anything smart, smart meaning an investment, you need to pay off these things as fast as possible. And the reason is very simple, because these things have very, very high interest rates. If you look at those, some of them have 20% per year. That's nuts. Thing, try to keep a certain amount of emergency money, what I call it. Great is if you have at least 3 months spending. So that means if you normally need $1,000 a month to live, that means you always have around 3,000 or more easy cash that you have very easily accessible on your side. Now, this is really important. Where would you put this money? Of course, you can leave it at home, for example. There's some people who put it into their safe, or you can put it in a sock or something. Now, this is up to you. I love to have my emergency money actually on a bank, and I just get regular interest rate on that. I use different banks. Actually, in Europe, there's a bank called Money.eu. So if you're based in Europe, you can use a bank called Money.eu. It's an online bank. They are secured under the European Fund. And they give you at the moment 1.2% interest rate, which is really crazy, especially because the money is daily accessible. If you spread your risks a little bit, for example, here in Hong Kong, I do use some time deposits where I just roll them over every month. Now they're going to be, I mean, they bring almost no interest, to be fair and square. And I checked in the US, the rates are ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, at the end, you need to have some very easy accessible money, and interest is an income that is, I think, very familiar to all of us. So it definitely deserves a note here. Now, there's one thing that's becoming more and more popular, and that is peer-to-peer lending. And with that peer-to-peer lending, you have the opportunity to really spike up your interest. And I have been using peer-to-peer lending over the last, I think, 2.5 years. I don't want to say excessively, but I've used them really heavily. There's some amazing companies. I learned about Lending Club really long ago when I was kite surfing in Venezuela, and a guy who was an early investor there told me about it, and I couldn't believe how amazing the idea is. So I quickly want to tell you how it works. So basically, if you normally put money into a bank, the bank has control of the money, and they are basically the central authority. Now, if you do a peer-to-peer lending, what you do is you lend, for example, $1,000 to 100 different people. Now, this is going to be depending on certain factors. You don't deal with this. There's an institution who does that. For example, Lending Club, or I use in Europe, Pandora. In Hong Kong, they're starting now having more and more of this in Asia, but Europe and US are really strong. So you have $1,000 and you lend this to 100 people. Everyone gets $10. So if one defaults, the risks are very low, because that 100 people default is very, very low, the risk. I mean, come on, 100 people, right? But maybe 10% default. But from the other 90%, so the other 90 people, you're going to get very, very interesting interest rates. And I mean, what's very interesting is, and I'll show you screenshots from me, I make close to 20% per year. And I've been making that over the last 2.5 years already. And at the moment, it doesn't seem as going down. It actually seems going up. The good thing about it is, if you have a good peer-to-peer lending platform, there's also a second market. That means you can even sell those loans to other people. So if you need immediate cash, you can immediately cash on those. So peer-to-peer lending, in my opinion, is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to cut down on the banks a lot, because simply it's very convenient for the people who need the money. And it's also really good for people who want to invest money. So definitely looks into this. Now, of course, this is nowhere as safe as if you put money into the bank. Of course not. But I think it's a really wonderful alternative. So look into those peer-to-peer lending. That would be income stream number 2. And again, where does this money come from? The money comes from the 10% that you save up from your non-scalable income 1, and then you can invest it, for example, into this peer-to-peer lending. And then, of course, once you start getting interest, so here, for example, I have 18.45%. This is my own account. I just took the screenshot today. And I have quite a high 5-digit number in there. So it's quite a lot of money actually every month that comes in from that, because that's 1.5% a month. And that's really a lot of money if you think about it in interest, right? And what did I want to say? Yeah, so it has nothing to do with peer-to-peer lending is never as safe as just giving money to the bank. So don't put your emergency cash there. But I love to get a lot of different income streams. And because sometimes, you know, stocks go down, real estate goes up, whatever, interest, these peer-to-peer lending doing wonderful job right now. So if you want to check out the 2 companies that I've been using personally and that I could recommend personally is Pandora in Europe and Lending Club in the US. I think Lending Club is now even listed on the stock exchange. So really powerful companies. Great. So if there's any questions, guys, at the same time, please always post them. I see your questions straight away. If you log into the chat window, then I can answer those questions. That would be good. And I can really walk with you step by step. Good. So we have covered income 1, income 2. Now we're going to talk about incomes 3. And incomes 3 is basically stocks. But I don't want to talk about stocks because I'm not a big fan of buying stocks in hope of the stocks appreciating. So that means I totally hate buying stocks, for example, at $50 in hope that I can sell them at $60. And here I tell you why. First of all, I lost, and if you read my book, you know it, I lost over 90,000 euros. Actually, I didn't lose 90,000 euros on stocks, but I lost tens of thousands of euros in stocks just because I was hoping that I could make money on appreciation. Now, I tell you, I have never met one person that can tell me they know for sure that a stock is going to go up. The smartest investors in the world, they actually always prepare themselves for a stock to go down. It's ridiculous. There's a book that's called How I Lost $1 Million and what I learned from that. And so what I really thought was awesome was to learn how these people prepare themselves for losing so much money. And that was such an impression because to me, I always thought these people, they never lose money. So that is why, before I answer your question really quick, Angela, so I always was under the impression, if I invest in stocks, my stock's always going to go up. Absolutely not. So if you cannot guarantee that your stocks are going to go up, you need to buy stocks for different reasons. And I'm going to explain you the best reasons why I buy stocks and, in my opinion, why you should buy stocks, because there's some really smart people that agree with me on this. Of course, there's also people who disagree with me on the strategy, so that's really clear. So Angela, before I go and keep going on the dividends, great question. Is there a minimum deposit for peer-to-peer lending? Now, I haven't checked in the US lately, so best is if you just go to lendingclub.com or go on Google and type in lending club alternatives. There's some really huge companies out there. In Pandora that I use in Europe, there's no minimum. I think they have like a $20 minimum. I mean, it's ridiculous. What I would do is typical investments on peer-to-peer are $5 to $10. So let's say you invest $50, then you can do 5 to 10 different investments, which makes sense because you need to understand 10% of your loans, they're gonna default. I mean, this is just how it is, right? So don't cry about it. I mean, the first time I saw my loan, like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get those $5 back. But I mean, you just have to prepare yourself for that, and it's priced into the interest rate. So I think it would make sense. Anything higher than $50 makes sense. The more you can do, the loan size doesn't increase. It's just the amount of loans you're gonna do. So I think I have way over 10,000 different loans in there. I mean, they have an automator, so they do it all automatic. You just click and it automatically invests for you. It's pretty straightforward. If you go there, they have some. I mean, we can do a whole episode if you guys want, or just on peer-to-peer lending. I've done a lot of research on this. I basically use the automator. I put in my money. At the very beginning, I always put in money on a regular basis. I'm going to talk about this as well. But now I just let it run and I let it compound in there. So no minimum as far as I know, but go on lendingclub.com or check out their alternatives. I just know Lending Club because that was the company I used in the US. Hope that helps. Very good question. Hope that helps. So at the meantime, if you have any questions, please post, then I can help that as well. So we're gonna jump back to income number 3, dividends. So if you buy stocks, my tip, you wanna buy stocks that pay a yield. And a yield basically means that you get money in on a regular basis. And J.D. Rockefeller, and I love his quote, was, dividends are the only thing that bring me joy these days. And so basically he meant he buys these stocks because the dividends he gets from them are so awesome. And I totally agree with that because I know that's really great. So do your research, Angela. I love that. That's really great. So to me, I buy stocks simply because I love these monthly, and I get a lot of times monthly income, and I'll show you my portfolio so you kind of get an idea. And again, I'm not telling you any advice. So please don't go out and do peer-to-peer investing because Julian said so. Don't buy stocks because I said you should do so, right? Do your own due diligence. So these questions that Angela is asking, really great questions. For those of you that have no idea what dividends are, so companies, they can, one way of giving profits back to the people who are the shareholders, so who own this company, one way of doing so is paying dividends on a regular basis. So this is basically part of the profit that a company makes. They can decide that they're going to pay to the holder of the stock, so the company owners. And the interesting thing about dividends is that there are many companies out there that are said, or that they are very renowned for paying dividend on a regular basis. And there's a list, and you can look this up. It's called the Aristocrat list. And these stocks have been paying dividends for the last 25 years. There are stocks who have been paying dividends for 50 years. Now, again, just because a company is paying dividends, it doesn't mean that this company is doing well. It might still go bankrupt, of course. But to me, I know I buy a stock, that stock pays me dividends, and I am pretty sure that for the next couple of years, whether a stock goes up or down, I'm gonna make at least a certain amount of profit. That's quite interesting to me because I can invest X amount of money, and I'm not guaranteed, but I have very high chance of making a certain return. Now, of course, you might say, yeah, sure, Julian, that's great, but what if my stock goes all the way down? Okay, fair question. Studies show on the stock market that if you have a balanced portfolio, and with the balanced, I mean you don't gamble on one little stock because this guy across the corner said you should invest into this stock. But if you buy a certain balanced portfolio, and I'm going to show you how you could do this, and you keep a stock or you keep this portfolio for 10, 15, 20 years, so long term, this is really important. There has not been one instance since the stock market has pretty much been documented, so the last 60, 70 years, and we're talking about world wars, big depressions, and so on, that over 10, 15 years, the stock market did not appreciate in total. So this means that if I can at least have high chances for the stock market in total, long term, to go up, and I can keep my stocks long term, and I'm making consistent profits along the way, I'm fine with this. So I'm not buying stocks to get rich tomorrow. I'm buying stocks so that when in 20, 30, 40 years, whenever you want to retire, if you want to retire in 10 years, then so over this time frame, you getting certain dividends and you're getting certain payouts from these stocks. So how does this work? Let's look a bit deeper and let's look into what I actually own. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, he says, buy stocks of great companies at good prices. And what he means with that is, don't gamble. Don't buy stocks in hope for these companies to make you a profit on the price increase, but buy a stock from a company where you're like, okay, this price is not overpriced. If you can do a lot of research on this, then it's great. If you don't, then my tip, buy a so-called ETF. And what is an ETF? An ETF is just a basket of predefined clear rules of certain stocks that go in this basket. For example, there's a basket of the 500 largest companies in the US, and it's called the S&P 500. It's a huge index, right? They call it also index. There's the same thing exists for Germany. The same thing exists for Hong Kong. The same exists for literally anything. So I just want to give you a quick glimpse in what I have there. Now, this is just a quick glimpse, and I hope you guys can see this. Otherwise, you can scroll in. Wait, let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see this maybe a bit better. So these are just ticker symbols, and there's some names to that. So for example, I have, I buy, this is a REIT, for example, it's an ETF. What does this mean? These are apartments or real estate in the US. And so basically I invest also automatically in real estate simply so through owning this ETF. So basically this ETF owns a lot of different real estate. There's a Russia ETF. So for example, I bought this Russia ETF when Russia was in its biggest crisis. And I said, you know what, there's blood on the street. Let me buy this ETF. And I'm not going to buy this ETF so that tomorrow I hope Russia is going to do better. I bought this ETF because I'm pretty sure Russia is still there in 20 years. And I mean, I might be wrong, yeah. But if it's still there, then Russia might grow. The companies in there might be doing well. And guess what? I'm going to make a lot of money from that. Not because I hope for Russia to increase in the price, but I'm getting some serious dividends. And you can see this here on the right side. You don't see the exact yield at the moment, but you can see that I always have dividend yields on that. I have the same thing for solar. I bought solar also when it was also quite low, but this was just a coincidence, right? I just bought it because I said, hey, you know what? I like it. You can see I didn't invest so much into solar. Why? Because it was to me a bit of a risky gamble, but they pay very nice dividends. I have all kinds. So I have a European ETF that you can see here. I have a total international selection, so you can see this one as well. I have one about energy, so that includes all kinds of energy. So I don't have to gamble on it, one specific company. I basically just say, you know what? I believe Europe is going to do well. I believe the entire world is going to do well. And I'm making monthly, quarterly, whatever dividends every year. So, and you can see here on the top here, I have tabs here as well on the top. You can see these tabs here. So I do have also, of course, I mean, come on, I'm also human. So I have also a tab here that says gamble on increase. So of course, there's a small amount of money that I do invest that I just gamble basically. Why? Because they don't pay dividends. For example, one of the stocks I own in there. And again, this is, again, no recommendation to buy, right? One of the stocks in there, for example, is Tesla. Tesla is not paying me a dividend. So to me, that's a pure gamble. But I think Elon Musk is going to do a heck of a job and he's going to grow the company. So that's why I bought Tesla. But this is a gamble, right? I also own Amazon. Amazon doesn't pay a dividend. It's one of the stocks I'm up, I think, 80% or something, but it's still a gamble. Why is it a big gamble? Well, because it doesn't pay a dividend. And I don't know if Amazon is up or down. Come on, you know, who knows? No one knows. So to me, these are big gamble companies, but I always put some small money in there as well. You always want to have some fun. I think that's a part of the whole game, right? So for those of you that say, wow, this is so complicated, so many ETF, blah, blah. Okay, now I tell you that you should read one book. Wait, I just need to jump back here because otherwise this thing doesn't show me properly. So good. Then you should read one book. And that one book is, why does it not go down now? Okay, now we did cannot change the screen now anymore or what? Okay, here we go. So you should read one book, and it's from Tony Robbins, Money Master the Game. And he basically has something called the all-weather portfolio. Now, whether you agree with this or not, I've been using it since it came out from him on the book, and this was since last year. And if you look at the stock market, the entire year was, at the moment, is pretty flat. Now, basically what you do is you invest around 1/3 into what I call the S&P 500. So basically I invest 1/3 of my money into stocks in the US, into the larger stocks. And the other 2/3 you invest into bonds. Bonds, basically you're lending the US money. So the TLT thing is an ETF on bonds. So basically, let's say you have 10,000 US dollars and you have no clue what to do. Well, if you listen to the smartest people in the world, now it's not me saying that's the smartest people in the world, you invest 1/3 of this money, 3,333 US dollars, into US stocks, and the other 1/3 you invest into bonds. Now, you don't see this on this screenshot here, but I think this all-weather portfolio over the entire year is about 4% up at the moment. 4%. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot, but if you consider that I've been getting dividends at the same time, and I have quite a lot of money in there. If you look at it, I have almost 1/3 of my money, and I do very heavily invest into stocks. So I have over 6 digits of money in stocks because I think I am a big stock investor. So if you look at this, then 4% is quite massive, especially comparing that also you're going to get some serious dividends on that. So if you really want to be the most passive investor, then follow this all-weather portfolio. I think it works really well. But again, read the book if you want to have some deeper insights on that. If you have any questions on this, now again, don't buy stocks because you think it's going to appreciate. Buy stocks because of the regular yield that's coming in. Buy aristocrats because aristocrats are said to have very, very stable dividends, or invest into ETFs. I cannot go into all too details. I just want to point out the most important points here for you. So if you like these points and you write them down, and if you fill down your email below, I'll send you the PDF so you can also have a reread on this thing. Then go and research these topics that interest you the most. So this is my suggestion on this. So we could talk for days on ETFs and stocks, and this would take forever, right? So I want to point out these things that I have done through my entire research, what I think are the most key points. So the next one that I want to talk about besides stocks is real estate. And real estate has been, especially this year, quite important to me. And I know also, I see Andy on, I think Andy would be even more of an expert to talk about real estate, especially when it comes to real estate in the US. So I call myself an okay, knowledgeable person, but I can only tell you what I've been doing, and I can tell you that you can copy the same thing and you're gonna get quite successful if you just follow some simple rules. Rule number 1 is start buying a real estate in your area first. So I don't believe in buying real estate all the way across somewhere else. Why? Because it's just so hard and so difficult to know the area. It's very, you really have to inform yourself. So if you have some money on the side, then start buying real estate in your area. Now, again, you basically have non-scalable income. This is how you start. And then you can work your way down. So for getting interest on the bank, for example, or peer-to-peer lending, you can make a little bit. When you buy stocks, dividends, how much money would you need? There's some very nice payment plans where you can pay, for example, $100 US a month. They call this dollar cost averaging, where you buy $100 a month. So there's really nice payment plans. Now in real estate, of course, there are some no money down deals. I don't believe in them so much, but if you do have some money on the side, I would say 10, 20, 30,000 US dollars, you can look into real estate and you can look doing something there. I think very powerful, and that's what I've been doing actually this year. So going really well. Don't buy cheap real estate. You need to buy value. So just because a price is low, one of the key rules, doesn't mean that it's always a good deal. Very important. Also, your own home where you are living in, this is not an asset. It's a liability. That's important. So one of the things that I think many people misunderstand is they think owning their own home is their biggest asset. So it's the biggest thing they have. Actually, it's their biggest cost factor. I think that we could do an entire session on when it makes sense to own and when does it make sense to rent. At this very moment, I would not want to own. I would love to rent, and I do rent. And the reason is renting is more flexible, many times cheaper. I can have less liability in the entire thing. I prefer to use my money, even though I could buy an apartment, maybe not in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is really expensive, but I could buy an apartment. I could live there. I would still rent, and I would rent out an apartment because, funny as it is, I would make more profit that way. So that just is a quick side note. There's three potential incomes when you buy real estate. First of all, you hope for an appreciation. Again, you hope. You cannot guarantee that anything appreciates. The second thing is you get rental yield. And the third thing is tax depreciation. So you have a tax benefit. The most important thing you want to go for, again, just like in stocks, is yield. And this is, in my opinion, so important that you go for yield. Don't buy something in hope for it to go up. Of course, you can make money. There's a lot of people in Hong Kong who made a lot of money from real estate going up. There's a lot of people in California who made a lot of money from prices go up. But this is always a gamble. You never know. So if a real estate project that you're buying is not positive cash flowing, and that means you make X amount of rent, you subtract your expenses, you subtract your payments. And if there's not at least $1 left from that every month, do not buy that apartment, do not buy that real estate. I have seen people who buy an apartment and they have to put in $100 every month. Now that is costing me money every month. That makes no sense. I want to at least have at least a break even, but I mean, to me, that's not even acceptable. I want to have at least double digits return. So that means I want to have at least 10% return per year on my real estate. And that totally works out. For example, let's say an apartment costs $100,000. So, or a small little house or whatever it is, 100,000 US. Well, depending on where you're living, the bank doesn't ask for the entire 100,000. The bank might only ask for 30,000 US, 20,000 US. I don't know how much they're going to ask for. So you take this money and you can have the entire apartment, the entire house. You rent it out, and let's say, just for the sake of it, you make $1,000 a month in rental income. Well, part of that money, of course, you need to pay back to the bank. You need to pay interest. You need to pay back on the principal, of course. But then there's always some left over. For example, I don't know, let's say $200 are left over every month from the 1,000. The other 800 going to the principal, going to the cost, and so on. 200 are left over. So per year now, 12 times 200, 2,400. If the original down payment was, let's say, 20,000, you're making more than 10% on your own money. And that's excellent. So that's what I always look for. It's that I have these deals, and then I know other people, they buy an apartment, 100,000, and every month they have to put in $200. That makes no sense, because at the end, that just means you're always getting shrunk down. So really important, positive cash flow on real estate. Now, there's one place that I learned literally anything about real estate, and that's biggerpockets.com. Now, I think it's the best platform in the US, and I think probably in the entire world to read about on. Everything on there, as far as I have seen, is free, accessible. Of course, they have some things that are on premium, but I mean, they have a great podcast, they have great forums, they have great platforms. So this is where I would go if you want to do some research on this. And again, this is what this webinar is about. I want to give you a stepping stone to go from here and to have more for those in those areas where you want to find out more. I hope that makes sense. If there's any questions on this, guys, please let me know. Angela, if you have any questions, please just drop me a message. Would love to work with you on this. Now, we've covered the first 4 incomes. Now comes one of my favorite ones. And the reason why it's one of my favorite ones is because it is so incredible scalable. It's the so-called buy and sell category. And in buy and sell, that just means you buy something for selling it more expensive. Now, of course, this would apply to apartments. This would apply to stocks. But I don't so much talk about those. Here, I talk more about the goods. And the reason why I think it's so powerful is because that is what, for example, Walmart uses. Walmart buys cheap and sells it a bit more expensive. And they do this with millions of people. And thereby, they make millions of dollars. And if you think about all these powerful companies that do a lot of retail, that do a lot of buy and sell, this is what their business is. They bring products from place X and sell them at place Y. They have huge logistics set up. So if you're interested in buy and sell, then you need to follow the 2 key rules. First of all, have experience in the field where you're going into. When I was a professional kite surfer, I made so much money just from buying and selling because I knew the right places to buy certain things and to sell them in more expensive places where they had no access into where I could buy them. I made almost half of my money just from that part. And the other part is you need to make the money on the buy. And these two rules are really important, so I want to stress them again. First thing, have experience in where you want to buy and sell. So if you have no clue about wine, I have no idea about wine, and now I think, okay, I'm going to invest into wine, chances are I'm going to lose money. But if I am the wine expert, because I've been drinking wine for the last 15 years, I'm basically the Gary Vaynerchuk of wine. So if I'm the wine expert, chances that I can lose money on wine are like very slim. Just like the chances that I lose money in buying and selling kitesurf equipment all over the world, gee, these chances are so slim because I call myself an expert in that field. And there's not many other people who can live up to my knowledge level. Additionally, I have access to prices, I have access to factories that no one or very few other participants in the market have. So if you are interested in trading with diamonds, wine, gold, anything what you want to buy, if you want to buy jump ropes, you can do that, but you need to know those two rules. Do you consider yourself well-read? Do you consider yourself an expert in that field? If yes, great, first step done. Second, do you have access to great prices? Because you're going to make your money on the buy. If you have to hope for prices to increase, you're going to lose. But if you can buy low and you can just sell at regular market price, chances are you're always going to make money on that. So that is why the buy and sell category is one of my favorite categories, because if you know how to do it right, chances for you to lose money in that category are close to zero. To be fair, I cannot remember one time that I lost money when I was dealing with kite surfing. Why? Because both these factors were in place. And so if you have a certain field like that, then you should go for it. That means research on Amazon or on eBay or set up your own online store. Look and where you can buy certain things so that you can sell them more expensive afterwards. It can be so powerful. To me, that was one of the key stepping stones, how I got a lot of money for investing into other things afterwards. It was from the buy and sell category. So, but again, don't buy something to speculate. I think that's really dangerous. Quick side note, because I get this asked a lot. People ask me always, what do I think about gold? And they always ask me, Julian, what do you think about gold? Do you own gold? I own gold. I like gold, but I don't like gold as a thing of hoping that it's gonna bring me more money. So I own gold just because I think, gee, has been around for thousands of years. I think it will still be around for thousands of years, and I think in 100 years, people still gonna give me something for it. So to me, it's just something to preserve certain value, and I would not give it away. I would not speculate with it. I think at the moment, I don't even know if I'm plus or minus on my gold because gold dropped so much. And so to be honest, I don't even check. To me, that's just something that's there. I buy gold every once in a while. I love buying coins. I also think if I have kids, I think it's just a nice gift. I got coins from my grandparents. I think that was really nice. So that's a bit of a side note. I wouldn't buy gold to profit from that and appreciation. Hope that makes sense. Great. So we talked about the first 5 incomes. If you guys have any questions, let me know. We got around 15 minutes left, and this is going to go into the last 2 income streams. And those are part of the business sector. So the first one was non-scalable. That's employed, self-employed. The other 4 are the investment sector, where you have your own money or other people's money to get to work. And now we're talking about the last 2, and those are business. Business means you produce value and you distribute that value to other people, and thereby you make a lot of money. For example, you own royalties from a song, for example, like a singer, or you write a book and you sell that, or you own certain licensing deals and you earn money from that. The beautiful part about this is that time is not the key factor. It's the marketing side. That means it's not about how much time you spend doing something, because actually while, for example, making a song, you're not going to make any money, but you're going to make money from distributing it to as many people as possible. So the marketing is actually the key in this factor. So if you're good in marketing, you can get this thing out to so many people, and you can really leverage on your income. On the other hand, you might get help from other people. That's why Amazon is there. That's why YouTube is there. That's why so many social media things today are so successful, to help people with the marketing. So I feel number 6 is, out of the business side, one of my favorite incomes. And that's also why I wrote my book. That's why I had written a book for kite surfing. Why? Because I know the power of true passive income when it comes from income number 6. To me, that is one of the incomes where I always feel like, wow, with very little money up front, sometimes not so much work up front, you can get some extreme leverage on that. And I'm always amazed that people don't leverage this on more. And I truly believe that literally any one of you here on the webinar, you guys think about, even if you just write a book on 30, 40 pages, or maybe you have another idea that you could license to something, all these things, you need to write those things down because I feel they're so, so powerful. So think about those small little things that you could use. I think very, very interesting and very, very powerful. Let's talk about the last income stream. And the last income stream is the most powerful one, is the most difficult one, but I mean, it can bring really massive wealth to people. And we talked about it also in the last webinar a bit. It's the income stream where you build a large business with internal equity value. What does that mean? That means business that is very small. So let's say a little restaurant, for example, or a hairdresser salon. As soon as the owner steps away from that business, the business is not producing anything anymore. It's not an entity in itself. So once a business has a certain size, let's say 500 or 1,000 employees, even if the owner goes on holidays for a month, the business still produces. And so with this, something comes up that's called equity. And equity is basically owning a part of a business that produces results. Many people know equity from stocks. So for example, just like we talked before, people buy stocks to own equity of a business. But so the interesting thing is, if you can start a business where you create this equity in the business. So if you have a great idea or you know someone with a great idea, what you can do is you build a business together. And if you own part of that equity, it really scales up. And over time, your income that you're making just from getting paid a salary is negligible compared to the amount that you can make from selling your equity later on to somewhere else, or maybe on the stock market. I mean, that's really, really high end, but even if you sell it to someone else. I want to give you a quick example. Just imagine you have a really good idea for a business idea, maybe an app, or maybe you have a very special restaurant idea or something. And you can scale that you have a lot of employees in there. And suddenly you have 500, 600, 1,000 employees. And now you own, I don't know, 40% of that company because the other 40% your partner owns and 20% were shared with other people. So you have paid a very little salary over this 3-4 years that you build your business. It really takes time to build that business. But if it's a good idea and you have very great execution on it, the execution is very important. You have to work really hard on it. Oh, my phone is ringing. So sorry guys. So over time, that means you really can have some massive value in there. How does this work? Well, you need to see it this way. If you own 40% of a company and that company is worth 10 million, 100 million US dollars, you own 40% of that and you can sell that to someone else and you can make the profits on that. So if you are looking into starting a big business and you want to be a so-called big business owner and you want to leverage on the equity, you need to own equity. If you are employed in a startup and you have no equity, you're just an employee. You need to own equity. That's really important. Now, of course, starting your own business, especially a big business, is quite challenging. You need to have a really good idea. You need to be good at raising money. You need to have great talent around you. And well, it's just really challenging. You can use some simpler forms. For example, you can buy into a franchise, McDonald's, for example. And once this thing is up and running, of course, downside, you need a lot more money up front. Then you also have a very sizable passive income stream. Two other options that I've used personally, and if you read the book, you have seen that, is network marketing. I think network marketing is wonderful if you follow the 3 key principles in network marketing. First of all is don't join network marketing to earn money per se. That's very important. Join network marketing to be around very smart people that are very motivated and that are very uplifting. I always think when I'm in a network marketing group, these people are always happy. And if I'm in a regular company, these people are always demotivated and sad. So I think network marketing is really great when it comes to that. And the other thing is, go there only if you like the product that this company uses. That's very important. If you read chapter 23 in my book, I dig very deep into the network marketing model. I think it's very important and it's going to get very, very important in the future. So really important, pick a good company. Don't join just to earn money. join because you also get a lot of motivation from the people around you, and then use from that, and then of course do it for the learning, do it for the personal growth. I think that's really important. One thing that I've been using a lot in the last 1.5 years, because I just think it's such a great model, is the affiliate marketing model. That takes a big audience though. So what does that mean? Affiliate marketing basically means you distribute content to people, and in return, these companies pay you for the sales that get generated. Now, if you're interested in affiliate marketing, I'm happy to do some more webinars, especially on these topics. But so basically, if I can summarize those 7, what we just talked about, we talked about income 1. I think most of you are familiar with this. Interest rates, quite familiar. Check out the peer-to-peer lending. I think it's great. If you're interested into stocks, do some research and focus on the dividends of it. Real estate, stocks, read from Tony Robbins, A Money Master the Game. For real estate, go on Bigger Pockets. I think it's great. Do buy and sell if you have certain expertise in one certain field. I think that's wonderful then. If you have a good idea for writing a book, or you're a good singer maybe, then go into that licensing, go into the royalties. The business side is the thing that excites me the most at the moment. Why? Because I've been really successful in all the others, and I've been successful in the business as well, but I know the business side has the most leverage. And you can leverage it so high. And if you look at all the billionaires out there, like I said at the beginning, I'm pretty sure most of them make their money from the income stream number 7. Great. So Angela said she would love to know more about the affiliate. So we're definitely going to do that. Anything else, guys? What I really would love to know is, what would you love from me to tell you? So that's really important. Which topics would you like me to cover? So Angela said affiliate side. I think that's a great topic, actually. If you have any other suggestions or questions, please let me know, because then I know what I can serve you with value. That's really important to me. Good. So we ran through those 7 income streams. I hope I covered a lot. I know I talk fast. I have to. Otherwise, you guys get bored and sleepy. So yeah, really quick and on the point. If you want to find out more information about the entire thing, join Facebook groups, join meetup groups, go to events, go to seminars, buy books. I think the smartest investment, and this is one thing that I would love to leave you at the end, is one of the smartest investments you can do is invest into yourself. It's a foolproof thing. Andy, the book from Tony Robbins is called Money Master the Game. So Money Master the Game. It's a wonderful book. He interviews the smartest investors in the world. I think it's such a great thing. Never stop learning with this and invest into yourself. I think that is one of the key things that I would love to leave you with. Don't get discouraged. Know why you're doing this. It's going to be, it took me years. And if you read my book, then you know that I lost so much money because I made a lot of mistakes and I didn't pay attention to what I should have paid attention to. And once I started paying attention, then suddenly everything started to work out. So don't fall for the scams. Pay attention, be rational, think, and all these stuff will work out. Be aware that it looks like it's a straight line, but actually up and down, you're gonna have these pitfalls, and don't get discouraged with these. The worst thing that I hear from people is, oh yeah, I lost money this already, I'm never gonna do this again. That's the stupidest thing. You need to ask yourself, why did I lose money? How can I avoid in the future of losing money? So then you can always screw up and you can get better. With this, I wanna leave you with one last thing. It's finally the release of my paperback book. So we are ready to roll. You guys can head over to Amazon. And if you're outside of Europe, so if you're in Europe, you're kind of screwed on this because the Europeans, they get the deal from us. But if you're outside of Europe, so America and Asia, you get a special 30% off if you go on Amazon today. You have to do it on Sunday. And you buy my paperback book and you type in the code Amazon30. So I'm going to type this in, Amazon30. So this is the code. If you type that in, you might have to type it in capitals. So it might have to be like this. You get 30% off of my book. And the link to my book is Genie. You can look for it, but this is a direct link. So if you go there, you can buy the paperback. And it's launching today. So today is the first day it's on sale. We have been fabulous with the ebook. Thanks so much, guys, for helping me with this. I would be so happy if you would take the paperback and, well, spread the love and tell as many people as possible. Because, I mean, all these lessons that I'm sharing here, I'm I'm going very deep into them in the book. I give people tips, and I talk on very, very specific topics. So you can head over, go to Amazon, get that book. It's shipping, well, today's the first day. For those in Europe, we have a special promotion for you anyway. So we just dropped the price in Europe. So you're paying automatically 30% less just because, well, we're having this promotion in America and Asia as well. So Europe, we're doing it for you. Tomorrow, Cyber Monday. So, well, that's basically the idea of the entire thing. I would love some feedback, please. It would be great to know what topics are interesting for you. And now we're heading up to Christmas, and we have something very special. And the way it works is tomorrow we have an introduction into the entire thing. We're going to do one every day. We're going to cover a new story. So we're going to have 25 days, 25 stories all the way through Christmas. We're going to post this on social. We're going to post this on YouTube. We're going to have Periscope. So it's going to be very good, very, very exciting to blow out over Christmas. With this, we're not going to have a webinar next Sunday, simply because we're going to have everyday videos, everyday blogs, everyday content. I hope you forgive me for that, but I think it's really exciting now, good time, and I really want to push this. And I have big goals, and I'm really, really happy to have you with me on this journey. Connect with me on the Facebook group. If you fill down your email below, I'll send you the recap from this replay, and you have all the stuff to take home from this. So I would be really happy if you get my book, if you give me some feedback on Amazon on this, and drop me a message. What did you like about today's webinar? What are you missing? So I took Angela's tip on the affiliate marketing. We'll definitely dig more into this. I have some really great content on that. And other than that, guys, I hope you got value today. I'm really happy that you were here. I'll talk to you tomorrow already, because I'm going to send out a lot of stuff tomorrow. So head over to the Facebook page, and I hope you're getting my book. And hey, really excited. So great week, great Sunday. Enjoy. Have a happy Cyber Monday tomorrow. Shop to the top and have fun. Thanks so much. Nice evening, nice day. Angela, for you, have a wonderful morning. Bye-bye. Cheers.